Hi, I'm Michael Killen. Corporations spend billions of dollars at trade shows to try to get across to the public their message, and the messaging is changing almost everywhere. There is a new interest by corporations to present themselves as a sustainable corporation. Now, I have invited Dan Ingerman. He is a printer, and he develops exhibits for corporations in Silicon Valley. And I'm going to ask him some questions about trends in the making of sustainable exhibits. Also, I'm going to discuss with him what he has made for my show, and that is the background. And we'll get to that in a moment. And the second part of the show, I'm going to interview Frank Sumner. He is the president of Senoma Graphic Products. He's probably one of the most important suppliers of various types of products used in making images in Northern California. And I'm going to ask him questions about what are the new demands being placed on corporations to print things and make exhibits that are good for this environment. Dan, how are you today?
Good. Good to see you, Michael.
Thanks for coming over. And yes, you make exhibits for corporations throughout Silicon Valley.
Yes, we do.
And I want to say I feel extremely blessed to have met you, because you are such a master with images and making exhibits. And what we have behind you is what I commissioned you to make for my set. And maybe you want to say something about what we have behind here, because you've lived with this now for a little while.
Right. Well, it's exciting to make, to take these different images and make something this large. And I know that the original painting is even larger. It's 24 feet long. So actually, this is one that we've shrunken down. But the beauty of this type of thing is it's extremely portable. Compared to what you would get years ago, it's relatively inexpensive. And you can do so much with it. I mean, the colors are vibrant, but the greatest thing about it is just in the last, so many years, we've gotten into all these recycle materials that are not only recyclable, but they're actually made from, old bottles and different things. I mean, the technology is phenomenal. And even the ink is printed, we use latex printers now, where before we would use a solvent-based printer. So everything has kind of gotten environmentally friendly, and there's no sacrifice in quality.
Yes, I find it extremely interesting that you and I came together, because I'm working hard to get the corporations of America and other places to use their marketing muscle to spread the word that all of us need to be more sustainable. And maybe we'll come to some of the technology later, but I think it's interesting for me to share our story, how we came together.
Right.
And Sustainable Silicon Valley, one of the leading nonprofits in the great advanced area of Santa Clara County and San Francisco, et cetera, was putting on a show, or will be putting on a show. And they asked me to lend them my 24-foot painting, Sustainability. And when they start to look into the difficulty of having it implemented in the facility, the convention center, they asked for another approach, because the painting is in 4 feet and heavy, et cetera. And then somebody recommended you to me, and then you put this together, and this is going to be moved down for the week of the show, and I think it's wonderful. When you say this is portable, what do you mean?
Well, whether you're transporting it in a minivan or a car, or you're taking it on a plane, it all packs down. It all folds down into shipping cases and they have wheels and handles, and you can pull them along.
Yeah. So behind this veneer, this black veneer, it's like an accordion stand.
It's a collapsible aluminum frame that has all the attaching pieces and whatnot. And not only can you make pieces like this that you can Velcro on, but you can actually remove the carpeted panels and make one big graphic panel that's the entire height of the display.
So is this a relatively new innovation in exhibits?
The actual frame itself isn't that new, but the materials that we work with now are.
And all right, tell me, well, first of all, I want to be clear. This folds down into how much space of aluminum? I mean, just physically.
The aluminum probably folds down to about a 3 foot high by a foot and a half wide and a foot and a half wide, so it actually folds down into a little square.
I could put that in my Prius.
Yes.
Oh my God! And then the veneer is made of what kind of material?
Well, on top of the aluminum part of the frame, there are magnetic strips. And with those magnetic strips, you can actually attach different substrates. In this particular case, it's the black carpeted panels, but you could also print panels that you could put the magnets on the back. And like we'll talk about later on in the show, a lot of these materials are now biodegradable. They're safe inks. There's no hazardous chemicals in it. So even though the stands are not relatively new, the materials that we use on the stands are.
So, I keep hearing, and you talking now, and when I've been working with you, and it's been so easy to work with you, well, God, you really are very concerned with the chemicals and materials you use. And are you leading your customer base, or are they pushing you?
What I find, and as the consumers come in, we try and educate them in that instead of them coming in and asking for a certain product, we try and find out what the usage is so we can recommend products to them. Years ago when you talked about recycled materials, especially papers for printing and different things, the cost ratio was kind of like this, regular paper and recycled. As time goes by, it's getting more and more like this, and not just the cost difference, but the quality of the materials. In some cases, we find that they're actually better made. They're more durable, and the colors, like you look at this, the colors are very vibrant. So the quality of the materials, and as more and more people request them, the price actually gets closer. The one thing I found with the recyclable and the biodegradable is that in my life I've gotten frustrated in feeling like I can't make a difference in certain things. You look at politics and different things. This is one area that I know, even as just one person, that I can make a difference in the way I live my life and the kinds of materials I promote to my clients.
That's wonderful. I did say it before the camera started that Frank would be showing 2 samples of very friendly work, but can I have the one that has your name on it? You want to let's give it to. So, tell me what is significant about this particular material with respect to being good for the planet?
Well, the nice thing about this material, this is a foam core type material, but it is recyclable. The glue that holds the paper on is recyclable now, and the actual paper is recyclable, and the inks are environmentally friendly. So if you look at this board, essentially visually you could not tell the difference between what we used to use and what we use now, but it's a complete 180 from what can be done with the materials
and
after the fact.
The costs are about the same?
Very similar now.
Very
like
similar.
I said, over time it's the costs are getting closer and closer.
Good.
And as more people use the materials and more manufacturers start making this as opposed to the others.
And durability?
You won't see a difference, and in some cases it's better.
Okay, so let's put this down. And I basically have just 1 or 2 more questions for you. Now, you are seeing an uptick in the trend or not of your customers coming to you and saying, I want sustainable materials wherever possible. Are you seeing that?
More and more, especially in this geographical area, people are very conscious about using environmentally friendly materials. So we see it more and more. The people, they really don't know what's available, And Senoma Graphics has been a great resource for us because not only do they do the research on that, but they'll give us materials that we can try out and give our feedback.
All right.
So we think that's great.
So Dan, I want to say thank you, and maybe I'll have some more questions
Great.
for you, but
Thank
I'd like
you. Thank you
to
for
move it
having me
over
back.
to Frank Summer, president of Senoma Graphic Products, and you're headquartered where?
In San Jose.
So you have your headquarters in San Jose, and before the show started, you were inviting me to come down to your facility because you have this display room.
It's a large facility, and we've got a lot of the products that we sell on display so that people can come down and take a look at them in their real practical application. It's
Okay, and you were saying I should come down because you see how to take this painting and sort of have things jump out or something?
right. There's several of the customers will, one of our most popular products is a wall covering material. So they'll want to do exactly what you've done and maybe make a permanent wall out of it. So we sell materials that are industrial grade materials that meet all of the building codes, safety, fire, that sort of thing. They'll put that, we'll print it digitally, install it in their walls, and then they'll want to add some dimension to it. So it's more three-dimensional now. And so there might be specific parts about your painting that you want to especially accentuate. And so we would do that with what we call offsets. And they're printed materials that now set off the wall and add dimension to the wall.
Good. I want to say how, and you might not know this, how you wound up here tonight. It's because as Dan was explaining to me what he wanted to do with this painting and my new set, which can go out to conference halls, he kept talking about his supplier, who is so supportive and so at the edge in terms of sustainable, green, good for the earth, substrates, the ink, the machines, etc. So that's how we got you here.
Appreciate it.
And I'm glad you came. So I would like to ask you what you see in this valley, in the great Silicon Valley that leads the world in a lot of things. Is this a community that's really pulling for the use of sustainable products and making exhibits?
I would say, in comparison to the rest of the world, Santa Clara Valley and the Northwest altogether is really the leader in the demand for green products. We're particularly environmentally conscious here, and you will find corporations setting corporate directives towards using recyclable and biodegradable products more here than you would in probably any place else in the United States.
Could you give me some examples of the corporations that are really being a leader?
Well, you know, one of the key ones that I think of is REI, the sporting goods company. Now, their headquarters happens to be up in the Northwest, but they have stores all over the United States, and they're probably one of the staunchest green advocates there are in the corporate world. And you can go to their stores throughout the United States, and it's blanketed in our recyclable and biodegradable products.
Okay. Now, what about the smaller corporations, the ones that might not be household names? Are they also, well, you're dealing mostly with printers, I believe, and I guess big in-house customers. Would that be correct?
Well, we have the larger corporations which don't actually buy from us, the printers do, but oftentimes the larger corporations will come to us and ask questions because they're being told to keep their eyes and ears open for green products. If they can, they want to be environmentally conscious. And so they would come to us and make those requests, Applied Materials, someone like that, and then we'll advise them on the products that are available for the type of work they want to do, and then oftentimes even maybe direct them towards a printer who would be able to do that for them.
So if we confine it mostly to marketing materials and to exhibits, what are some of the questions that organizations like Genentech, Google, HP, Facebook, Yahoo are asking you?
Well, Google is also a very environmentally conscious company. And so one of the things they'll do in an exhibit is they're going to place signs all over the display floor. Typically, they would be banner materials made out of PVC. PVC, because it uses chloride, is not a very good product for the environment. They would come to us and say, show us products that are earth-friendly alternatives to PVC. And so we would show them a cadre of products, and they get a pick from that. And typically, what they're concerned about is that, one, can the product be replaced? Two, will the end quality of the product be as good or better? And then, of course, they'd like it to be, price conscious also. So, if we can be reasonable on those 3 points, then they tend to want to go towards the green product.
Okay, and that's right now, okay? And when did you see the interest in coming to you asking about products that are sustainable, good for the planet, etc.? When did you see, what was it like 10 years ago?
Well, 10 years ago, you didn't get asked for green products. There really weren't any of those alternatives. So I think that the larger corporations began asking aggressively 3 years ago, maybe 4. And as Dan had said, the products initially, when they came out, were considerably more expensive than traditional products. But as the volume grew and production costs came down, oftentimes you can get an alternative product that's environmentally friendly for equal to or maybe even less than what you would have paid for a product that might be buried in the ground and be there 200 years from now.
So what is the most remarkable new product that's come out? A substrate that has improved significantly?
I would tell you there are really 2 products. In our industry, there are 2 types of machines. Machines that print on rigid materials and machines that print on flexible or roll materials. EcoBoard probably was the biggest advancement. It's a rigid product that takes the place of a product that is a mainstay in the industry, but very, very bad on the environment, both in its manufacturing and in its use.
And what is that product?
That would be Gatorboard.
Gatorboard. What is a Gatorboard?
It's a foam product like what Dan had showed you here, except it's very rigid, very hard, and it's produced with a very high level of formaldehyde, which is a carcinogenic. It's a very bad substance. And so EcoBoard is a product that fully replaces that product. It's very high recycled content, up to 60% recycled content, post-consumer waste, and it is 100% blue bin recyclable. So you, at your home, could go out to wherever you have your trash cans, throw it in your blue bin, and it'll be turned into another box.
Okay, that sounds good. Is there another product that's special?
A product that we are just releasing is a product called EcoFilm, and it replaces PVC self-adhesive film. So if you have a roll machine, you can't run a rigid material through there. If a third of all the signs that are produced on rigid, then 2/3 are on flexible substrates. You, in the past, only had a choice of running self-adhesive vinyl. And again, that's PVC, and it's very unfriendly to the environment. This is a product that is made from regenerated cellulose, so it's a plant material, and it is 100% recyclable. Again, blue bin recyclable.
Okay. Now, so those are substrates, is that correct? So is that where the greatest progress has been made? what about the inks? Are they,
The machines, both the machines and because the inks are an integral part of the machine, in the past, not too long ago, Dan's really a perfect example of this. It wasn't so long ago that your choices on a mid-range machine would be a solvent machine. These put out volatile organic compounds. They off-gas. It's an unfriendly process. Dan basically got rid of his solvent machines as soon as the new latex machine came out. That's a substantial investment to be able to do that, but it's a necessary part of being able to provide green alternatives.
so he had two machines that were printers,
Right.
and they were not environmentally friendly, and
Right.
So he traded in, threw away one, and bought another one from you?
We'd supplied him the non-friendly product, and so we then Hewlett-Packard came out with the new product, which is the latex product, and we then took in the solvent product and sold then the new latex product.
Okay. And now I know you have brought a sample of something.
Yes,
Could you just tell us what we have here?
This is EcoBoard. So this is a product that would replace Gator board. So it's a very rigid, durable board, and it's completely blue bin recyclable. It has a very high recycled content, and so when boxes are thrown away in Chicago or Cincinnati and they get recycled, turned into a product like this. And then when this is thrown away, it can get turned back into boxes or more EcoBoard, things like that.
Okay.
So it never gets buried in the ground.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Could you put it down? And I want to ask, and your perspective is for these large corporations like Hewlett-Packard, Google, et cetera, maybe some of them have a director of sustainability, but for the most part, you haven't seen, or have you seen these big corporations put those kind of people in place? Or if they are in place, they're really not down or near the area where your customers are.
Well, it's difficult for them to do that because you can imagine a lot of these large corporations use thousands of products. So to make one man a czar of all those products, make him knowledgeable in all of them, and then have him search out the replacements for them would be a daunting task.
Hundreds and hundreds of heads of sustainabilities or this domain. Yeah, sure, good point.
So typically what they'll do is they'll establish a corporate directive towards sustainability. Then that gets passed to the department heads, and they will empower the same people that do the buying on their standard products now to put out the word that they are going green, and they want to see what the green alternatives are. So you then they will typically talk to their printers. There are printers who won't ask for or learn about green products until they have had to turn down multiple customers. And then there are printers like Dan who will embrace this right in the beginning, learn the products that are available, and then take those solutions to those corporate heads.
Okay, so you made a good point. We can't have 1 million sustainability directors, but the word comes down from maybe the executive committee that this is what we want to do. We want to be as green as practical, okay? And the word works its way down to the buyers, and the buyers start exerting the pressure onto the suppliers and the people who are requisitioning these things, and progress is made.
Well, you'd be surprised that there's a lot of times what'll happen is say someone like Dan would walk in and be presenting his capability to a large company, and he would present industry standard products and then also green alternatives, and they'd go, you know, we were just talking about that the other day.
All right. What advice do you have for all the printers, you know, the folks like Dan, and there's others besides him? What advice would you have for them in terms of seizing emerging business opportunities that the changing how the new supplies are coming out.
I would say that, and I've put it this way because I've done talks at different trade shows and things on green products, and I've said, purely from a business standpoint, green products they're like it's like having a wild card in a poker game. If you don't play it, maybe you're going to lose. How often do you lose by playing another wild card? So learn about the green products, be capable and able to present it. In fact, I would say make it part of your standard presentation to show them. You'll be surprised how often these buyers or these corporations say, you know, they've been talking a lot about that in our company. Thank you for showing me that. If you're the first person to show these, they will come back to you for more information.
Well, I want to say what I observe about the two of you. It seems to me that it's effortless for the two of you to promote green products to your customers. It's effortless, and it's not made up what your interest is. And I'd like to ask Dan, and the time will run out soon. So what motivates you, Dan, to really promote the green?
Well, I think that this is one area that I can make a difference in. And there's other things, you know, that are important to me as well. But the green solution is something that over time will build and will benefit not just my generation, but my kids' generations and their kids. So in that respect, it's important. But I also feel like I'm promoting a high quality product. It's not like I'm saying, well, let's go green and sacrifice the quality. These are great products that are coming out. I mean, you look at something like this, the colors are vibrant, they're very durable, a lot of them are outdoor solutions, so it's a win-win.
Frank, I can't ask you that question. Hi, my guest has been Dan Ingerman. He's the president of Wemorph, an important printer in Silicon Valley, and also Frank Sumner. He's the president of Senoma Graphic Products, headquartered in San Jose. I'm Michael Killen.